Hi, I'm Grant Ward. This is my final project outline for week 5. So let's get into it. The small business I chose was the Camino Bakery, and like the background on it. They're a small local bakery in Winston-Salem with one location downtown and two in the surrounding areas. And it's become a nice, popular local bakery. Even though it is becoming more popular, it doesn't use what bigger companies like Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kremes, those type of bakeries may use for demand forecasting or analytics to support and run the store. What I plan to do with the project is to show how machine learning can help run the business more efficiently and cut down on potential waste. And then, the challenges we face, challenges most face are demand and variability of the demand. And why do I say that? Well, it is a bakery after all, and it's not just like donuts, oh, maybe cakes. No, there's a bunch of different treats, and Camino even adds another step to that with all of the drinks that they do offer and different items on their menu as well. And oftentimes you can see bakeries stock out or overproduce certain items, eventually have to get tossed, costing money, which is important because that's money you're just throwing away because you made too many of items that just do not sell. And another point on that is they do have seasonal menus as they are a community-led bakery, but it is important for them to be on top of it. And if they're not, then it can cost dearly. Then like wait times during peak hours, like I'll drive by there on my way to morning waits some days on the way to school, and I see decent lines outside of it. And I can only imagine what it is at the hospital location with all the doctors, nurses, and everybody else that works in the hospital, maybe sliding by there for coffee, maybe a quick treat for breakfast. But point being is peak hours, and they can use some help on that to cut down on the lines. Last part is can be an asset, and the problem is a community-driven bakery. So if the public changes its minds or influencers, because while yes, community can decide, it can also change just like that. So why I highly say that like yes, maybe it's you narrow it down. Like I think the new menu's March to June. Maybe go May and June to July, August, September, October, November, December. I say this because that's an easier time frame to do. And the objectives get machine learning into depth with the store and how it operates, use machine learning to predict menu changes from public based on previous years' sales. Also have machine learning incorporate top selling items into more than seasonal. And with that, that one can be tricky because maybe top selling items are only a seasonal. Maybe some aren't. Like let's say pumpkin spice. Everybody wants it and it's only here for what, a month or two? Not saying you make it the whole year, but like say it comes out October, and let's say it's an October, November thing. Maybe you can extend a little bit into December, maybe back into September. Like I'm not saying you fully change it, but there's areas where you can expand it without hurting yourself and then cut down on waste to save money from being thrown away, items that aren't sold. Again, like you have to make sure, because like bakeries, they face the challenge on trying not to waste money. And with items not being sold, it can hurt you more than it helps you. And then while customer service is good and social media does highlight that, using machine learning to give help during peak hours to give a better experience to customers. And why is that? We'll say morning time, there's an emphasis on coffee and less emphasis on food or whatever. We'll maybe hire a few more baristas, I believe. I'm not sure. That's like one of the areas I don't know like what their official title is, but we'll say baristas because that's what Starbucks, I believe, calls the employees that make the drinks. Anyways, to give it hire them, have them work during the peak hours, especially in the hospital where they're they are driven on caffeine, as my cousins who are work in the medical field currently have told me that coffee is a must. It's almost a non-negotiable. So if they ever run out of coffee, help them. And then get social media marketing to help promote the bakery side more than drinks. Why do I say that? Because I went and looked on their social media. And while, yes, I see a few food items, I see like, hey, we cater here, but it just promotes like drinks and stuff, like coffees, this, that, and the other. You're, but you have all, but you look on the website and they have this big giant menu. That's why I say get the social media to help promote the other side, not just your drinks. And then here's like bakery market share, like what gets thrown out or whatever. So, sorry about the photo. I'll get it cleaned up next week. But it's like pastries and stuff, bread, and then like sweet treats that would be like uh cannolis, I think. But point being is like how the bread is the green, and then they sell a lot of pastries. Maybe dive in on that a little more. Maybe take some out of your sweeter treats. So like you can analyze that and then implement easy ways to use Excel. And I say Excel because to get the machine learning to give Excel to crunch numbers on you, got to start looking at what sells. And assuming since they are a small bakery, while yes, they probably do have some transaction history, I would say I would look at what sells more, what sells less, and like put in the last few months to give you a little pattern. The last few years would be good so you can see what goes on, but the managers would have to be trained with feeding the machine to know what to correct. Also, we need to make sure that the data is correct to prevent errors. Because, well, yes, you're doing supervised learning at first. Excel can run the numbers, but you still have to input it correctly. If not, it just doesn't work. So training them on that to know what they're looking for, to know what they're doing. Then using your own data, which should be easy to collect, assuming records are kept of what was sold and how often. Again, like I said, small bakery, you never know. While yes, they probably do take notes or they probably know what is a popular item. The exact figures, I do not believe they have. So, like I said, you'd be a couple weeks or a couple months of proper data collection to make sure that machine learning is given proper data to make good forecasts to help run the company, enabling managers on customer service and more. And that's more of, hey, we know what we got to, who we need to staff, who do we need working, who do we not need working, what do we need to go in on more. Like if we're selling more pastries and stuff, then let's just say bread, then maybe we cut a little out of the bread, put a little more into the pastries, like give and take over give and take to make sure, okay, we're not losing anything, but at the same time we're helping. Conclusion. After looking at Camino Bakery and seeing the machine learning applications, it's clear that yes, machine learning can help Camino cut down on wasted food, which can save you money. Dictating menu to see what's more popular for season. That way the staff can start to prepare by ordering ingredients, preparing staff for when season comes. You can make more popular items, maybe cut back on some of the areas that isn't popular. Like like pumpkin pie. You wouldn't really make that in the spring, not really the summer. But like pie is a really good example. Summertime, apple pie. You could have pumpkin in the fall, but that's just a quick, easy example of saying, okay, we can cut here, add this here. You're not losing anything. You're just redirecting, using it more efficiently. And then finally, use machine learning to help customer aid during peak service times to give better service and reputation to the bakery as a whole. And that would be more of staffing to see, okay, what type of staff do we need? As in, do we need people who can make coffee more, make special, let's just say lattes? What I like to say is the Starbucks specialty items. It's usually like all those different type of drinks. I always think of Starbucks. That's the easiest terminology I can give you. But, or do we need like the more bakers, the more servers in that sort of sense to, hey, maybe we need more food items. I don't know, just to be more efficient as a whole. And that is it.